Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we are going to be figuring out the untold story of what happened to Tommy. Now, if you guys are confused, you're like, who is Tommy? I don't remember a character like that being in Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, he was only in 2 missions, but he plays a very important role in the story. So instead of me trying to describe who Tommy is, I'll just let the game set up the events in which leads to him appearing. He at first appears in the mission Americans at Rest, which is in Chapter 2 in Valentine, where you see Charles and Javier and Arthur talking to some ladies at a bar.
Hello! Arthur! Come over here. I want you to meet our friends.
Pleased to meet you.
Well, ain't you just the toughest teak mountain man?
Oh, you be quiet, Anastasia. Anyone can tell this one is a pussy cat.
Exactly. Yes, he's a pussy cat. Ain't that so, Arthur?
Whatever you say. How much you cost, anyway?
Well, ain't that a nice way to talk to a lady?
Oh, I didn't know I was talking to a lady.
Excuse me.
Well, I must say, you got a fine way with the women, amigo.
Yeah, regular dandy and a charmer. Where's Bill?
Oh, man. I dread to think about it. Hey! There he is.
Watch where you're going. Take it
Are
easy,
you about to
pal.
kiss that guy or
Take it
punch
easy,
him?
huh?
Oh, and we have our answer.
These bastards.
So that big guy right there is Tommy. He is a tall, burly man, and he is one of the residents of Valentine. And Bill Williamson starts a man with a fight in the Smithfield Saloon, and a large brawl obviously breaks out. And Tommy hears the fight from upstairs and furiously marches down. And at some point during the fight, Arthur actually has to save Javier from Tommy, in which this then happens.
You want some too, huh?
Come on, pretty boy. Pretty boy? You're kidding me. Pretty boy?
So Tommy, because he's so big and large, literally just picks up Arthur and throws him through the window of the saloon, which leads to them fighting outside. And eventually Arthur will start to win the fight and will begin to beat Tommy in the face with his fist. And it's likely he would have beaten him to death if it wasn't for another man, Thomas Downs, who ends up rescuing Tommy and essentially breaking up the fight.
Stop! Please, I beg you, stop. Come, sir. You won the fight already. Surely that's enough.
What business is it of yours?
No business. No business, sir, but please, I beg you.
So that right there is the first time in which we see Tommy. He's really like the first big bad guy antagonist that we have to fight, and it's our first real encounter that we have in Valentine. And shortly after that, Dutch arrives along with Josiah Trelawney, and it starts basically the beginning of Chapter 2. And if you didn't know any better, you would just assume that Tommy would never be mentioned again, that he was just one of those characters that Arthur would fight, and that would be it. But there's actually a much deeper story here. In the mission A Quiet Time, where you and Lenny end up going to Valentine to do some drinking, which, by the way, is one of the best missions in the entire game, Tommy is actually mentioned quite a bit, and we learn some disturbing details. It actually starts with this on the ride to Valentine, where Arthur warns Lenny that some things went on during their last encounter.
Now, I should warn you. Me and a couple of the other boys, we got in a bit of a fight last time we was here.
What kind of fight?
Oh, nothing big. No, we kept it clean. We're all good.
If you say so, Arthur.
So after that occurs, Arthur and Lenny actually go into the saloon and they go to the bar, where as soon as they approach the bar, the bartender recognizes Arthur and wants to make sure he's not going to have any trouble.
Just one or two.
Right, Arthur? Of course, just a drink. No big drama. Can we get a couple beers, please?
I don't want no trouble.
You'll get none from me. I was defending myself.
Tommy, he's...
He'll be fine. Here, have one for yourself.
Thank you.
So after that, Lenny and Arthur go on a massive drinking spree, and this is where you can see Tommy once again. He's actually inside the Smithfield Saloon and is eating food and hanging out with some men at the bar. And Arthur can actually approach him to make amends.
Hey, buddy. Hey, no hard feelings, huh? You ever wonder if life is a brutal waste of time? Yeah, I think you're right, partner.
So Arthur is obviously drunk here. I mean, he is just hammered. But there's something interesting to note about Tommy. When Tommy tries to reply, he's incoherent. I mean, he's barely mumbling any words, and it looks like he's basically just like brain dead sitting over his bowl of stew. Now that, of course, is just a guess and could just be speculation. However, if you actually go back to the Smithfield Saloon, to the bar outside of this mission, and you just go to have a drink, one of the NPCs in the bar will actually come up to you and tell you what happened to Tommy. Take a listen to this.
What are you having?
Give me something to drink, anything.
Here.
Hey, you're the fella that fought Tommy, ain't you? Oh, man, that was some fight. You boys slugged it out fair and square. Except maybe him throwing you through the window like he did. I don't know if you've seen him since, but he ain't all there. Like the lamp's lit, but there's no one home. But like I said, you fought fair. That's how it goes sometimes. Anyway, cheers to you, mister. I'll leave you to your drink.
So that NPC right there basically confirms what we thought, that the fight that you had with Tommy essentially made him brain dead. The NPC says he's gone funny since then, says that the light isn't on inside of his head, which would assume that he probably got some brain damage from literally getting beaten up by Arthur in the middle of the street. Now, according to the Red Dead Redemption Wikipedia page for Tommy, it states that he got aphasia, which is a disorder resulting in impairment of language, speech, and comprehension, which can be a result from a head injury. And that's exactly what we saw happen to Tommy. So does he have this aphasia where now he's basically brain dead for the most part? Like he's going to have trouble hearing and speaking and understanding people. And that is a direct result of the conflict that they had during that bar fight. And we, of course, clearly saw that in the mission A Quiet Time. Now, I don't want you guys to feel too bad here because also on the Red Dead Redemption Wikipedia page, it is implied that Mickey was actually beaten up by Tommy. So Tommy is not really the nicest guy here. Now, if you're not sure who Mickey is a homeless man that actually claims to have served in the army and became homeless due to losing one of his arms in battle. And he drifts all over the towns of New Hanover and Lemoyne, begging for money or even just a conversation. So if you've never come across Mickey before, which I'm sure you have, but in case you haven't, this is what he's like.
I'm too old to get a job, mister. Way too old. Can't we be friends?
Sure.
I'm so happy. I ain't had a friend in a long time. Long time. My last friend died. weren't my fault. They said it was, but they was wrong. It's fun being with you, mister. Can I hold you a second, mister? Can I?
Okay, just quickly.
That felt good. It's nice to be held sometimes. Well, we used to hold each other in the war. You got sad eyes, mister. Like you seen sad things. Remember with kindness.
So just from that one conversation right there, you can tell that Mickey is a really nice guy, and obviously he is a war vet missing an arm. So the fact that a guy like Tommy would beat him up shows that he's kind of a jerk. So just as soon as you were starting to feel bad for Tommy, you kind of almost can't, because he was willing to beat up a guy who had served in the war and also lost one of his arms. So can you really feel all that bad for Tommy? But either way, I thought this entire story was incredibly interesting because none of this is really revealed through dialogue that you're forced to hear. You sort of have to dig for this information in order to find out what happened to this guy, which in my opinion is kind of crazy. But anyways, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the story of Tommy, his interactions with Arthur, what happens to him after their tussle in the streets, and what do you think about him getting that brain damage disorder, and do you think he deserved it for trying to basically beat up Arthur and what he did to Mickey in the past? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.